Welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
So today we're strapping in for a journey, I think. A journey far outside the usual guardrails of romance.
That's putting it mildly.
We're not just talking slightly unconventional, we're going to the absolute extremes.
Yeah, relationships that face, aggressive judgment, real legal barriers, and just intense scrutiny from every angle.
Exactly. So our mission today, it's pretty ambitious. We're really going to try and analyze the dynamics here.
Right. The criticism, the resilience. What does it take for couples in these massive age gap relationships or kinship marriages to survive?
And even partnerships built around really unique sexual interests. It's a study in human persistence, really.
It is.
And the source material we're pulling from, it's this fantastic kind of raw juxtaposition. We've got transcripts from reality TV shows, so you're hearing the intimate sometimes. I mean, frankly, heartbreaking confessions from the couples themselves.
And then layered on top of that, we have this sharp industry news, analysis of the very machinery that packages and, let's be honest, exploits these stories for entertainment.
And we're going to center a lot of that on a major industry player, Simon Cowell.
It forces you to hold two completely opposing thoughts at once.
It really does.
You see this relentless human desire for connection, for validity, and then at the same time, you see this cynical corporate strategy that's used to manufacture and monetize all their conflict.
So before we jump into the individuals, the core mission is this: to understand that for these couples, the internal chemistry, that's often not the problem.
No, not at all.
The biggest barriers they face are external: the fierce criticism, the specific legal hurdles, and just this deep, profound desire for simple, non-judgmental acceptance.
So prepare for a deep dive that I think will genuinely redefine your understanding of what normal love can look like.
And the extreme lengths people will go to protect it.
Let's start right where the sources give us some of the most dynamic personalities, the age gap spectrum. But specifically, let's focus on older women who are actively seeking much, much younger partners.
Because that flips the traditional narrative, right? The powerful older man.
Exactly. It completely inverts it.
And we absolutely must begin with Hattie. I mean, we just have to.
Oh, absolutely, Hattie.
She is 83 years old, she lives in New York City, and she has not just embraced online dating.
No.
She has assigned herself a title that leaves zero room for ambiguity.
None. She calls herself the Boner Queen.
The Boner Queen, right out of the gate.
It's a nickname that's both, hilarious and incredibly assertive. And she backs it up with this staggering confidence.
She really does. She makes the claim, and this is a quote, that she believes she knows more about male genitalia than most doctors.
Which is an incredible claim.
It is. But then she adds this quick, surprising little caveat.
Right. She said she might not know more than a gay man.
Which, I mean, that shows a certain level of self-awareness, doesn't it? Like, she's really thought this through. She's done the research.
Yeah, she's considered the angles.
And the intentionality behind her dating is what really struck me. She's not just browsing.
No, it's a laser-focused strategy. She's seeking a steady younger lover.
For passion and adventure. But here's the kicker. Her profile includes two very strict, non-negotiable criteria.
And they are very telling. She demands, quote, no pro-Trump and no players.
That's a fascinating combination.
It really is. It shows she's looking for someone who shares fundamental values, political harmony, which is huge for modern dating.
Crucial.
But also someone who offers genuine emotional commitment, even if the relationship is mostly about pleasure.
She's weeding out people who are too casual and people whose entire worldview clashes with hers right from the very start.
And it works. The strategy works.
The success rate is astounding. I mean, forget age. For anyone, this is impressive.
In just 7 or 8 months, she estimated she had scored with almost 50 men.
50. And she claims to now have a steady selection of young men.
Her observation on what motivates these younger partners is also really insightful. It offers this window into maybe a generational shift in male sexuality.
Okay, what did she say?
She notes that the younger men she dates, unlike the partner she had when she was younger, quote, get off on getting a woman off.
That is a powerful distinction.
It is.
It shifts the dynamic from a purely self-centered act to one of mutual reciprocal pleasure, where the man's satisfaction is derived from ensuring hers.
Right. She even recalls a specific lover, a tall man from Ecuador, who she says just truly matched her energy and made her feel alive.
And to sustain this this pretty rigorous dating life and to maintain the flow of younger partners, Hattie is intensely disciplined about her physical health.
Oh, yeah. Her entire regimen is, in her own words, geared to us keeping me sexual, sensual, and gorgeous.
And the sources give us specifics. She
Mm-hmm.
uses a heavy 12-pound weight that she's had for 30 years as part of her routine.
But the most memorable detail for
They
me,
have face pinching.
the face pinching, literally pinching her cheeks and forehead to stimulate circulation.
That commitment, it just underscores the investment she makes in herself to maintain this very specific lifestyle.
And the pride she takes in it is so clear. She says, "Nobody ever calls me mommy or granny."
She is actively rejecting the societal roles that are typically assigned to an 83-year-old woman.
Totally. Her identity is defined by passion, by adventure.
And we actually get to witness a date.
We do, with 33-year-old Sean, who is 50 years her junior.
And Sean describes the whole experience as a fantasy. He says he hasn't been in tune with the older crowd, which suggests, there's an element of novelty here for him.
Sure, but Hattie meets that novelty with pure confidence. She just states flat out that she is as orgasmic as I was in my 40s.
The exchange is immediately sexual, but it's also warm. And it ends with Sean complimenting her vibrant, bubbling personality.
It's just a strong example of how age can really become secondary to chemistry and just enthusiasm.
So moving beyond Hattie, the sources introduce us to other older women and younger men, OWIM couples, who illustrate the complexities and the commitment in these huge age gaps.
Right, like Norma, who is 68, and her husband Chris, who is 36.
So that's a 32-year difference.
They have a great meet-cute story. They met at a Butlin's holiday camp when Chris was only 18.
And Chris says something that you hear a lot from younger partners in these relationships. He explains he found younger girls immature.
Right, he was looking for an emotional stability, a depth that his peers just couldn't offer him at that time.
But the reality of a 32-year gap, it forces you to constantly think about mortality.
Absolutely. Norma, even though she's vibrant and active, she is acutely aware of time.
To the point where she has already planned her funeral in minute detail.
Yeah, she wants horses in a carriage, but she is explicitly forbidden a jazz band.
The detail about the jazz band is so specific. It's funny, but it shows this deep level of control and preparation for what's inevitable.
And it shows how seriously she takes her commitment to Chris.
Yeah.
She's left very detailed instructions for him, basically trying to manage the logistical and emotional fallout of her eventual death.
Which is a heavy, heavy burden for any relationship to carry.
Then you have Pat, who is 60, and Mark, who is 28, also a 32-year gap.
And Mark is Pat's 9th husband.
9th. And what's intriguing here is that Mark was actually Pat's first proper girlfriend when he was 23.
So their connection predates their current relationship status. It has deeper roots.
Right. But the family rejection for them was palpable.
Mark's parents refused to attend the wedding.
Which is such a powerful, nonverbal statement of disapproval. It's brutal.
And Pat's response is defensive, but you can see why. She says, I haven't stolen out of somebody's pram.
And that phrase, I haven't stolen out of somebody's pram, it just perfectly encapsulates the societal shame.
Yes.
And the accusation of being predatory that these women so often face.
It highlights that the choice, the agency of the younger partner is constantly being questioned by everyone on the outside. This theme of external scrutiny is constant. It runs through every single story.
It really does. What's clear from every anecdote is that even if the internal dynamics are loving and consensual, the relationship is immediately put under this harsh, cynical microscope of public and family judgment.
Which brings us right to our next major theme. The intense scrutiny and the profound sacrifices these couples have to navigate.
And the most pervasive stereotype, the one that comes up again and again, is the sugar daddy gold digger accusation.
It's such a lazy shorthand, a way to just dismiss any relationship where there's a visible age or wealth disparity.
And we see a beautiful, immediate rebuttal to the gold digger stereotype with Richard, who's 50, and Liz, who's 23.
The cattle haulers.
The cattle haulers.
Yeah.
27-year age gap, and their life is spent 247 together. Only 50 cattle, 750 miles north to Iowa.
And their wagon is their home.
Their entire world is that truck. And Liz, who is clearly tough, she handles herself like a professional cowboy. She tells male colleagues to shut the H up.
She has sacrificed her whole prior lifestyle and her family ties to live with Richard in that highly confined space.
And she is furious about the gold digger label. Her defense is just brilliantly practical.
She offers to send critics a bank statement.
A bank statement to prove that they have nothing in it.
And she says this is because, quote, there is literally nothing in our bank. It just underscores a total absurdity of the accusation for them.
This is a relationship defined by shared work, extreme proximity, and, well, financial scarcity.
And Richard even makes a physical sacrifice to show his commitment. He removes his nudie calendar because of Liz.
In that small space, that's a big gesture.
It is. Their love exists in this self-contained bubble on the road, which maybe serves as a shield from that outside judgment, even while they're struggling with money.
Now, you compare that financial reality to Michael, who is 64, and Tanisha, who is 28.
A completely different world. Michael manages Tanisha's modeling career, and Tanisha is focused on getting British citizenship.
So their shared life clearly involves mutual goals. Professional ambition on one side, legal security on the other.
And Michael understands the external perception perfectly. He gets it.
He says that from the outside, they look like a stupid old man, got a bit of money, beautiful young lady taking him for what she can.
He accepts that this is the visual narrative that society just imposes on them.
But the dynamic is so much more layered than that stereotype. You see a relationship built on mutual support and ambition.
And Tanisha, maybe she leans into it ironically, but she jokingly calls Michael her big papa when he asks her to step outside for a photo.
They're acknowledging the expectation while living their own truth.
And the scrutiny isn't just for heterosexual couples.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Richard, 57, and Amy, 27, a gay couple in Manchester's gay village with a 30-year gap, they faced relentless questioning.
Richard was constantly asked if he was a sugar daddy.
And Amy was accused of being a rent boy.
And Amy was surprised by this. He said the negativity about the age gap was far worse than any criticism they might have faced about being an interracial couple.
Which just speaks to how deeply ageism is embedded, even within communities that are supposed to be more accepting.
Amy's analysis of where this negativity comes from is really sharp.
It is. He believes a lot of the criticism comes from single people in the community who feel, in his words, worthless without a partner.
So they're projecting their own misery and cynicism onto couples who look happy.
Exactly. And to combat this constant barrage of assumptions, they came up with this brilliant, simple defense mechanism.
The comeback LFW.
LFW, look and weep.
It's a defiant, confident statement that their genuine happiness and deep connection are the ultimate rebuttal to all the cynics.
And this LFW mechanism is such a crucial defense. It's not an aggressive retort, it's a confident dismissal.
It immediately reframes the conversation. It establishes a boundary. Your assumption of misery is wrong, and our joy is your loss.
But even with this strong public defense, Amy faces this profound personal sacrifice because of his cultural background.
Right. Being Asian, he has to keep his relationship with Richard quiet to avoid severe family fallout, because being gay is highly controversial in his community.
So he lives in this perpetual state of guardedness, balancing his love life with his family duty.
That pressure is immense. And family rejection is a devastating recurring theme in all these stories.
We see it with Amy, 49, and Lee, 25, a 24-year gap. They had a small, modest wedding, specifically because of family disapproval.
And their non-traditional path goes beyond just the age gap. On the eve of Amy's 50th birthday, they're discussing their struggle with not being able to conceive naturally.
And now they're actively planning to adopt. It shows that their vision for a family, just like their relationship, exists outside conventional norms.
The generational shift can be, well, it can be dramatic, especially with Joe, 61, and Angela, 22.
A massive 39-year gap.
They met on a movie set, and the sheer extremity of their ages is highlighted by one fact.
Joe's son.
Joe's son is 2 years older than Angela.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
His son is older than his partner.
And Angela had a very sheltered life. She was homeschooled. She views their relationship as destiny, as fate.
Which suggests that maybe her lack of conventional social experience made her more open to accepting this unique partner. She sees him as a strong, experienced anchor.
We also see these extreme sacrifices made to bridge not just age, but geographical and cultural gaps.
Like Michelle, 51, and Mesbah, 26. They're separated by the distance between England and Tunisia.
And Michelle converted to Islam specifically to cement their relationship. That is an immense commitment to Mesbah's culture and his faith.
But the highest emotional hurdle for her was meeting Mesbah's mother.
Michelle was visibly nervous. She realized Mesbah's mother was roughly the same age as her.
And she's worrying intensely about the disapproval of a mother, seeing her son choose a woman who is essentially her contemporary.
It just creates this deeply awkward and incredibly high-stakes family introduction.
And all these relationships, they force the issue of mortality right to the forefront. It often leads to this challenging role reversal where the younger partner becomes the primary caregiver much, much sooner than they ever anticipated.
And the story of Steve, who is 44, and Marion, 64, is the most profound example of this inversion.
Marion, early in their relationship, was consumed by the fear of becoming a burden.
She took these proactive, almost extreme steps to prepare Steve for this. She took him to visit her own mother, who had advanced Alzheimer's.
Hoping the experience would scare him off.
And she brought in her minister to discuss the long-term impact of their 20-year age gap.
She was so determined that Steve entered this relationship with his eyes wide open to the reality that she would likely be the first one to decline and need care.
The tragic irony, however, is that life completely shattered that assumption.
It did. Steve received a diagnosis of terminal metastatic melanoma.
And was given just a year to live. Instantly, all of Marion's fears about being a burden were inverted, and she became the essential caregiver.
And what's fascinating and uniquely beneficial about their situation is Marion's professional background.
She's a cancer nurse.
Exactly. Her professional expertise, which she thought might one day be needed for her own care, became this crucial asset in supporting Steve through his illness.
It highlights a seldom discussed benefit of the age gap, doesn't it? The older partner often brings deep professional and life experience to the table.
Absolutely. Marion's expertise allowed her to give Steve a unique level of informed care. And thankfully, breakthrough immunotherapy treatments stabilized his disease, which offered them both a reprieve and really solidified their bond through that crisis.
We see this caregiving reversal elsewhere, too, with Carol, 69, who, despite battling arthritis herself, has become the primary carer for her younger husband, Paul, who's 43, because of his diabetes and mental health issues.
And Carol even notes that Paul's health makes him feel significantly older than her.
It effectively erases the age difference in terms of their daily reality. Her active hunt for a better mobility scooter just underscores her commitment to making their life together work despite her own physical challenges.
And then there's the emotional disparity, which is captured so painfully by Kenny, 65, and Michelle, 30.
Kenny is openly resigned to his short future. He jokes that he's in me lucky years.
And he proactively tells Michelle that when he dies, he wants her to find a new, younger man.
And that statement, even if it's well-intentioned, it's devastating for Michelle.
She just refuses to even acknowledge the reality of this inevitable separation.
It just illustrates the deep emotional chasm caused by the age gap and the necessity for the younger partner to confront a future of premature widowhood.
This collective experience, it just shows the immense emotional fortitude required to maintain these relationships against constant societal judgment and these deep internal existential fears.
But some relationships face scrutiny so intense it goes beyond social opinion.
Right, it crosses into the fundamental legal and genetic arena.
So let's transition now to the highly controversial and legally challenging case of Angie and Michael.
The first cousins who decided to marry.
Their relationship violates significant legal statutes. Angie's father and Michael's mother are siblings, making them first cousins.
And their marriage is outright illegal in their home state of Utah. It forced them to seek legal recognition somewhere else.
And this wasn't some whirlwind romance. They have a shared history that goes all the way back to childhood.
They were each other's first crushes, first kisses, back in second grade, when they were 7 or 8 years old.
And because of the obvious family connection and the taboo, their families actively tried to keep them apart for years.
Which led them to describe their younger selves as feeling like Romeo and Juliet.
The reunion, decades later, was instant and explosive. 9 months after they reconnected, they described their chemistry as fireworks.
So when they decided to go public, they posted a photo on the family Facebook page. They expected mixed reactions, maybe?
But they were, in their words, shocked and horrified by the immediate, intense backlash.
They were promptly kicked off the family Facebook page. And their cousin, Kathy, emerged as their most aggressive nemesis.
She publicly labeled the relationship gross and accused them of being a bunch of yeehaw inbreds.
The insults were layered, right? Combining the social taboo with the very serious medical and legal concerns.
And since having sex with a first cousin is punishable by up to 5 years in prison in Utah, if it's prosecuted, the legal stakes were incredibly high.
So they had to drive across state lines to Colorado just to legally tie the knot.
The primary fear expressed by all the critics was the risk of genetic defects in any potential children.
And to proactively counter that narrative, The couple underwent extensive blood tests.
The results were critical to their public defense. They were their main weapon.
They discovered that Angie is only a carrier for cystic fibrosis, and crucially, Michael tested negative for everything they screened for.
And based on this, they declared publicly that they had the potential to have genetically perfect children.
And then they announced they were expecting again, after previously losing a baby due to a lack of a heartbeat.
So for them, the ability to conceive successfully and get these test results, it wasn't just personal joy, it was a massive political tool to validate their union.
Armed with this genetic defense, they launched a political fight. They started an online petition that quickly got nearly 2,000 signatures to challenge Utah's restrictive law.
This led to a meeting with a state senator, Todd Weiler, and the senator provided a key insight into why the law persists.
He admitted that the whole issue carries an icky stigma.
Icky, that was his word.
Yeah. And he linked the opposition back to Utah's history with polygamy, saying the state doesn't want to amplify that stigma.
That phrase, icky stigma, is a brilliant distillation of the conflict. It's not scientific, it's not purely legal, it's a moral, gut-level discomfort tied to historical, cultural anxieties.
And Weiler agreed to wait for supporting organizations to weigh in before he considered any legislation, which validated their efforts while confirming how powerful that emotional barrier is.
But their fight wasn't just in the legislature. They craved family acceptance.
So they made an attempt to reconcile with their nemesis, Cousin Kathy, in Wyoming.
Why Wyoming?
Because sex between first cousins is legal there.
Of course.
Kathy refused all attempts at reconciliation. She called the relationship worse than a toilet and demanded they shut up about it and leave me alone.
But despite that intense rejection, the couple found a small victory in the confrontation itself. They celebrated their legal status in Wyoming right after the incident.
It's just striking how much time, money, and emotional energy these couples have to expend just to achieve a baseline of legality and social peace.
And that deep need for acceptance, it applies equally to couples whose unique intimacy involves these highly specific, non-mainstream lifestyle choices.
Which pivots us to Lamb, 23, and Honey. Their entire relationship is centered on the splashing fetish.
Which is the joy derived from covering oneself in wet, messy substances, things like slime or pies.
Lamb's discovery of this fetish was remarkably early and powerful.
At just 9 years old, she smeared herself with shaving cream and experienced her first orgasm.
And she said this was a deeply confusing moment because her Catholic school education had taught her that women don't orgasm.
So this foundational, confusing yet powerful experience drove her to seek out acceptance and community.
She found it through the website of a man known as Clicks, who she calls the mastermind of wet and messy things.
This online community led her into slime modeling and eventually to honey.
And splashing, for Lamb, is described in these highly sensual terms. It's pure fun, very sensual, and leads to an intense climax or an out-of-body experience she couldn't get through regular masturbation.
So it is an essential component of her romantic fulfillment. And Honey's role as an accepting partner is key to all of this.
Absolutely. Honey finds fulfillment in catering to Lamb's creamy cravings, which shows that acceptance of a partner's unique intimacy is its own form of deep romantic commitment.
It requires not just acceptance, but active participation and support.
And to help Lamb bring this very private part of her life into the open, Honey organized a surprise slime birthday party for her friends.
Lamb was incredibly nervous, especially about the reaction of her best friend, Summer, who had previously been apprehensive about the fetish.
The climax of this coming out party was the moment of acceptance, which, thankfully, was achieved gradually.
Summer eventually participated, though only with baby steps, which involved mini pies being splashed onto her butt.
And for Lamb, this was a massive win, a realization of her dream to share this intimate, defining part of herself with the people closest to her.
The need for social acceptance applies at all levels of relationship abnormality. And we can contrast that emotional pursuit with the extreme age gap and financial disparity of Richard Levner, who is 82, and Kathy, 24.
A 58-year gap. Richard is a multimillionaire retail giant, and he married his fifth wife, a former Playboy bunny.
Kathy insists they live a normal life, despite Richard's immense wealth, but the details suggest otherwise.
Yet even the smallest domestic demands become sources of high conflict, like Richard getting explosively angry if his food isn't cooked precisely right.
Specifically, his 4-minute egg.
The 4-minute egg, this tiny detail becomes a symbol of the control that vast wealth and age disparity can impose on daily life.
Kathy, however, is not passive. She says she has a big mouth, and she shouts right back at him, establishing her own boundaries within the relationship.
And she made immense personal sacrifices. She left her friends and family in Germany and brought her 6-year-old daughter to Vienna to be with Richard.
And she dismisses the gold digger critics with this unapologetic bluntness. She states flatly, I'm just giving a fuck of this.
That bluntness is her defense mechanism. It's her version of LFW.
Exactly. She uses profanity and defiance to shut down the external judgment. It's an assertion that the critic's opinions are completely irrelevant to the reality she's creating, regardless of the money involved.
And this whole constellation of extreme relationships, from the Boner Queen to the first cousins and the Sploshers, it exists in the public eye for one reason.
The reality entertainment machine is eagerly showcasing them.
So let's pivot now to analyze the architects of this aspiration and conflict. The reality TV industry itself.
We are witnessing a clear commercial strategy in the industry, which proves they recognize the audience appetite for non-traditional relationships.
Netflix in particular is aggressively expanding its unscripted slate with new dating shows that are engineered to exploit these very themes.
One upcoming show is called Age of Attraction. It specifically features singles ranging from 22 all the way up to 59 years old.
But with the twist that they don't know the age of their partners initially.
This format is designed to prove that chemistry is paramount, right? But the structure ensures that the age reveal, which inevitably comes later, provides the dramatic climax that viewers are tuning in for.
So they're proving love can transcend age while simultaneously monetizing the controversy of the age gap.
And Netflix is also pushing into high society drama. Shows like Members Only, Palm Beach, and Calabasas Confidential.
Which suggests a deliberate effort to blend aspirational wealth and lifestyle with the inherent conflict that comes from navigating exclusive, high-stakes social hierarchies.
It's mirroring the Richard Legner and Kathy dynamic, but with a broader cast.
And to truly understand how this conflict-driven reality format became the global norm, we have to analyze the career of Simon Cowell.
The man who codified the format of judging brutally and manufacturing televised dissonance.
Cowell, born in 1959, he's 66 today and still a powerhouse. Founder of Seco Entertainment, judge on massive global franchises. He was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world, twice.
In 2004 and 2010, all for shaping television culture.
And his defining feature, especially during the American Idol and early X Factor years, was the dick persona.
The judge who delivered blunt, often insulting and unsparingly honest appraisals of contestants' talent, and sometimes their appearance.
But it's crucial to remember that this wasn't purely his organic personality.
No. Sources indicate that this persona, that highly profitable signature bluntness, was carefully coached by his publicist, Max Clifford.
His common catchphrase, "I don't mean to be rude, but," followed by something brutal that was a calculated device.
And viewers tuned in droves specifically for that element of shock and awe.
The industry realized that conflict was currency. People watched the audition rounds specifically to see Cowell punch down, to see him deliver those brutal takedowns.
It created a necessary dissonance against the overly positive judge, Paula Abdul, and the moderate one, Randy Jackson.
The formula was immensely successful. But Cowell did later offer a public apology for being a dick on American Idol.
He said he changed over time, particularly after becoming a parent. He realized he didn't want his own children to be subjected to that kind of public ridicule.
And yet, despite this perceived softening, critics remain deeply cynical about his methods and his business model.
They argue his success is owed to a calculated, soulless approach, exploiting artists through unfair contracts and aggressive control.
And this cynicism even permeates pop culture. We see it directly reflected in the music industry.
Right. In Little Mix's Jade Thirlwall's solo single, there's a lyric that says, "Selling my soul to a psycho. They say I'm so lucky."
Which is an apparent direct reference to Seco Entertainment. It shows a deep-seated industry knowledge that the conflict wasn't just on screen. It was often behind the scenes, too.
Which brings us to Cowell's latest strategic move. The 6-episode Netflix docuseries Simon Cowell, The Next Act.
Following the cancellation of the X Factor in 2021, this new venture focuses entirely on creating the next global boy band sensation.
He's holding auditions for 16 to 18-year-old males in cities across the UK and Ireland.
This is a major declaration. Industry sources view this move by Cowell and Netflix as a big 2 fingers up to ITV after his previous show was canceled.
He's going back to basics. He's aiming to replicate the success of One Direction, believing that Every generation deserves a megastar boy band.
So he's shifting from judging controversy to actively manufacturing global stardom, but still using that same talent pipeline model.
It's a fascinating pivot. From monetizing conflict in extreme relationships and amateur singers to monetizing aspiration and star creation, all while maintaining that core Cowell brand of high-stakes, ruthless competition.
And, perhaps ironically, despite his carefully constructed career image, Cowell has recently been followed by a string of, well, accidental chaos.
We've seen multiple physical mishaps, serious falls down steps, missing filming days for Britain's Got Talent.
And when he reappeared with a visible graze, the jokes from his co-hosts were swift. It showed that even the king of controlled conflict can't control his own physical stability.
His co-host Amanda Holden joked that a choir made up of ambulance staff were probably on standby just in case anything went wrong with him again.
It just adds this layer of unexpected slapstick to his previously ironclad image.
So if we step back and look at the entire landscape we've covered, from the intensely personal and taboo loves we discussed to the massive commercial forces that seek to monetize and frame them,
We see a unified struggle. These relationships are fighting for validity against a relentless external gaze that is simultaneously judging them and buying tickets to watch their drama unfold.
whether it's first cousins facing potential jail time in Utah, or older women challenging stereotypes on dating apps, or gay couples weathering insults in Manchester.
The reality industry's relentless focus on these extremes just confirms their high audience interest. People tune in precisely because these relationships challenge their fundamental beliefs about morality, law, biology, and finance.
In this analysis, it raises a profound final question for you, the listener, to consider.
We've seen consistently that the biggest barrier to non-traditional love isn't the internal chemistry or emotion or even genetics. It's the external gaze of the community and the media.
So given the current trend in reality television,
Yeah.
this move toward what's often perceived as a kinder, more supportive environment,
Right, consciously stepping away from the brutal judgment that the old Simon Cowell persona epitomized.
will the public still tune in to watch love stories that fundamentally challenge their beliefs?
If the conflict is purely internal, focused on adoption or health scares, and the media framing is entirely supportive, does the audience remain engaged?
Or is the validation of non-traditional love inherently tied to the spectacle of overcoming external, often media-fueled hostility and judgment?
It's a critical question for the future of entertainment, and I think for acceptance itself.
A truly complex yet deeply human deep dive today. Thank you for joining us.